In this lesson, we discuss CRS property presented in the survey paper. They survey 73 systems and derive from the common property in the following 4 categories through a rigorous evaluation methodologies: security property, privacy property, performance property, and deployability property. The unique security property a CRS should include is 1. Unobservability, where the sensor cannot observe or locate the content within a server or a location. Cannot identify which flow has sensor content and cannot figure out where the requests go and where the response come from. These obfuscation techniques cover beyond the basic confidentiality, where the narrow focus is in encrypting and protecting the content. 2. Unblockability. These look like the availability-based security service, but taking into consideration of techniques that will increase the cost for the sensors to block or matching the flow with sensor content. It also places the spatial emphasis of placing components outside of the sensor's sphere of influence. In the typical basic availability service, we do not know where the attack comes from. But in censorship case, we often know who is the censors. They are in the daylight side, while the CRS users are in the dark side. And where the subnets that are out of reach by the censor. Here are the CRS availability is narrowly defined as whether the CRS systems incorporate robust mitigation techniques against DDoS attack through over-provisioning of bandwidth and IP addresses. With additional IP address, the CRS users or server can changing their IP address dynamically to avoid being attacked. The CRS integrity, we would like to see the traditional message integrity where the message can be verified against tampering from the sensor, either in transit or in storage. The CRS server and publisher should provide proofs of their CRS identity through authentication. The CRS packet loss support properties. How to recover from it since the sensor could drop the packet intentionally. This is more critical to the conversation phase since more data are exchanged along the CRS user to CRS server. CRS auto-order packet support property. This is a property need to be done through the implementation of sequence number. It deals with problems that could be caused by sensor intentionally injecting random delay to the traffic. CRS privacy property include user anonymity. Through the CRS system, the CRS user present to the outside as an anonymous identity. Their connection cannot be easily traced or linked to the real identity of the user. Server and publisher anonymity property. These questions are: can server disseminate information without revealing their identity? Can it defend against masquerading of CRS client by the sensor? Can it defend against passive analysis data on its outgoing link? Think about the TOR hidden server services for server and publisher. They are connected through the TOR domain name which are translated through the TOR DNS translation and connect indirectly with the CRS user through rendezvous points. It shields the server from potential censor disguised as a CRS users. User deniability property transforms the traffic to obfuscated form, such as encryption or stenography. The server and publisher deniability property, this include encrypt and using stenography technique. Participant deniability, this is including CRS users serve as a CRS node. Here are performance property. First, latency. Compare that with those of direct connection of server and planned HTTP. Second, good put. This is defined as available bandwidth to CRS client subtracting out the CRS operation bandwidth. Third, stability, resilient to external conditions beyond CRS control. Four, scalability, computation overhead. Hope the CRS authentication and encryption technique are not too much over the typical crypto processing overhead. Storage overhead, such as saving the number of keys, the key size, creating storage for credential and CRS code. Deployability properties, this including synchronicity. Here we ask the question, does all CRS components need to be online at the same time for the operation to occur? It is better to have a synchronous mode of operation. Network agnostic. Can the CRS system be operated on different networks, different speed, maximum packet size, different TTL values, packet paths with diverse characteristics? Coverage. Can CRS access different type of or different lengths of content? Often the CRS unobservability and unblockability property can only be realized by large and diverse, both in terms of geographically, politically, and economically aspect. Participants saw that the censor are reluctant to block or intrude those connections, all servers offered by the participant. Here, CRS focus on recruiting or providing incentive for quality of service and flexibility provided by the participant. For example, in TOR network, we are interested in encouraging volunteers to provide big bandwidth, responsive server service in stable, predictable manner from all corners of the internet. Quantitative incentivizations. Here we consider tangible reward, maybe monetary income contribution to the participant. Disputed participation. Here we consider participants from diverse corners of the internet, but coordinate in a manner following the same distributed protocol to realize the CRS services. Volunteer participation. Here we talking about, are participants aware that they are involved in CRS? Or do they know the consequence of providing such CRS services? Some can be sued by their government due to the CRS user carry out illegal or offensive activities through the connection or server they provide. Conditioned participation. Here we're talking about how they qualify, how the CRS qualify. Does the CRS open to anyone? Screen participant may be safer, but it is difficult to detect insider attacks at the same time. Deterministic cost. Allow participants to know and control how much bandwidth and computation they contribute for a certain period of time will be great. TOR documents show participants how to set up rate limiting. That's a very good example to save participants' costs. The capability to help participants set the spending upper limit of their cloud instance will be a great feature to have. Security delegation. In this case, we need to evaluate the impact on security by subverted participants. Privacy delegation. Same in this case. We need to evaluate impact of privacy by subverted participants.